Welcome everybody. Right here I've got the Equal Opportunities Commissioner, Dr. John Byrne. He's going to be enlightening us about the role of equal opportunity in the community.
Equal Opportunity Commission has two roles: to get greater acceptance in the community of equal opportunity and fairness and equity in society. The second is a more formal role of accepting written complaints and accepting to resolve those complaints. We have about 400 complaints per year. Those are just the tip of the iceberg of what actually happens in society. Most people are not complaining to us. There's far more discrimination than there are complaints, quite frankly. Nonetheless, it's quite important to have those complaints. If we cannot conciliate it, have a go to court. Once we have a court decision, employers tend to sit up and take notice, and so do service providers, and discontinue the practice that caused that complaint.
How did the Equal Opportunity Commission come about?
It was established in 1984. There was a move across Australia to find ways of addressing discrimination. It's really a credit to the government at the time in Western Australia. They introduced this legislation, and then the Commission took it from there.
On average, who are the main groups that have complaints?
Complaints about employment dominate, and complaints by people with disabilities dominate, including sex discrimination, sexual harassment, race discrimination, sexual orientation. The people with disabilities tend to lodge the greatest number of complaints, followed by sexual harassment and race discrimination. Other areas include goods and services. Mainly people who are already employed who complain, rather than people seeking employment. That really is a deficiency of equal opportunity legislation in this state and throughout Australia. When it was originally introduced, the great hope was it would improve opportunities for employment for racial minorities, for people with disabilities and older people. But that basically has not happened. Unemployment remains a significant issue in those groups, and equal opportunity legislation has not so far had a big impact on addressing that. The reason for that is that when people apply for jobs, the employer assesses them. They lodge a complaint. The onus of proof is on the person complaining to show that discrimination occurred. And that's very, very difficult in terms of a complaint about, I applied for the job. There were 10 other people there. I didn't get it. The employer only employs white people, only employs men. I've got no people with disabilities, no racial minorities. Surely that is discrimination, you could say. That is not an adequate proof. The issue is proving that discrimination occurred. That is a very, very big problem for complaints of employment. So although the biggest number of complaints is of people already in employment, but the people seeking employment, and that is a deficiency of equal opportunity legislation throughout Australia.
What are the main types of complaints?
The dominant complaints really are people with disabilities, complaining about their disability not being adequately accommodated or considered by their employer.
Does this indicate that there are systemic issues within the broader society?
Yes, indeed. There are systemic issues in broader society that are not addressed by equal opportunity legislation. People seeking employment and being denied employment because of their age or their race or disability, where there is not fairness and equity. For example, the situation of Aboriginal people in Australia, their poor health outcomes, the high incarceration rate in prison. There's no practical way of lodging a complaint with the Equal Opportunity Commission. Equal opportunity legislation is not really the mechanism to address those broad systemic issues. Greater awareness of the community is needed. Greater understanding by our parliament in addressing those issues, like the Closing the Gap strategy for Aboriginal people. And we really need to develop strategies to reduce the incarceration rate of Aboriginal people, many of whom actually have a disability as well.
How do those that have complaints get their evidence, and how should they present their case?
It's really for the complainant to provide evidence. Quite often, That may be an exchange with the employer. If the employer has the evidence, we can require the employer to provide any written evidence they have that relevant to the complaint. But if it's only with one person's word against another, it's very difficult to prove. So you have a witness. Witnesses are very important for successful complaints.
Thank you very much, sir, for your audience and for enlightening the public. It's a pleasure sitting next to you for this interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you.
Yes.
Good.